So now that we've all seen Spectre, what did we think about it?
I liked it.
Thought it was
It was
pretty
fun.
Yeah, it was a fun movie.
Matt, you can't nod. We need the audio.
We need you to like say something.
I mean, I was just waiting for you guys to finish.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, Matt, what did you think?
I thought it was a good action movie, a good spy movie. After sitting on it for like a week or so, I realized that it wasn't necessarily the same James Bond, but it got back more to the roots than the previous ones have.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Fair.
I mean, walking out of the theater, my first reaction was, I think this is the best Bond movie in the series across all of them. Having sat on it for a week, I have to go back and rewatch, especially all the Daniel Craig Bonds up until this. And then some of the higher rated classics, definitely. But
Goldfinger.
yeah,
Which is
Goldfinger, GoldenEye,
Still the best Bond.
Thunderball,
Really?
Thunderball,
Doctor No.
Doctor No. But anyways, I think the thing that I respected so much about Spectre was it paid homage to the classic Bond films with
Okay.
with the gadgets, with the cars, with all of that. But it was a modern 21st century action movie.
Well, so was Skyfall.
So Skyfall, but Skyfall, apart from the car, didn't really have very many classic spy gadgets or cool throwbacks to the old Bond movies. This,
Q, the watch, the gun, the meeting to get the watch and the gun.
The meeting to get to watching it.
that was fun, yeah.
I mean, like,
were there really any gadgets other than like what were the gadgets in Spectre? I don't remember.
The watch.
the watch.
The car.
I mean,
The
he always
car,
gets a car.
with the ejection
Yeah, I
seat.
mean he always gets a car.
Well, the ejection seat was also hinted at in Skyfall.
Yeah.
My
But never used.
My problem with, I think, with Spectre, in that vein, was that Skyfall was able to nod to the old Bond movies while not seeming like a nostalgia trip. This one seemed much more of a nostalgia trip,
Which I loved, personally.
and it was good. But I'm saying if we're like
Right.
comparing them,
And I also thought bringing back, my favorite aspect of it, and especially the actor was phenomenal, but having the classic Bond henchman. Very little, if any, dialogue. Just
one word.
he had
one word, yeah. Shows up, causes hell, and then leaves.
arrive where his hell leave.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was great. And that whole opening scene, not of the movie, but where we first meet him in the meeting hall, was just phenomenal.
I agree, and I'm also a little biased because I think that Dave Bautista is magical, and I want him to be in everything. But he was the perfect person to play a James Bond villain, I think.
A henchman.
Yeah, he wasn't even a villain. He was
No,
just
a henchman. I meant
Yeah.
to say henchman. I think that.
I think Christoph Waltz was perfect with the villain.
Christoph Waltz is honestly, I think, is quintessential Bond villain.
Yeah.
Like, depending on how the sequel goes, because he is going to be in the sequel, regardless of whether Daniel Craig will be.
Has that been confirmed? Or?
I think that it's all but confirmed. Like,
Daniel Craig was still.
Yeah,
done one
he's
more.
because I think finishing it out with 5 movies would be
I mean,
solid.
the thing for me was Spectre was good, but comparing it to Skyfall is just not going to be the same. Skyfall, I think, is the best Bond movie ever. So to take Spectre right after it, and I feel like everybody knew that, and so everybody involved with the film was like, "Oh, we got to try and top Skyfall." It was either top Skyfall or just make something completely different. And they kind of did a little bit of.
Well,
both.
see, for me, I've always enjoyed the old Bond movies more. Don't get me wrong, I love all the Daniel Craig movies, but I've enjoyed the old.
you love Quantum of Solace?
It was not right film, but I
Talk about that
enjoyed.
later.
All right.
I enjoy the old Bond movies more so. So for me, the fact that Spectre was a little bit of a nostalgia trip rather than just hinting at it, I really appreciated it.
And I definitely see that and I respect that. But for me, it's like I got enough of that in Skyfall. I didn't need it again this time around.
Right.
We got it enough with Blofeld and with the classic like Bond henchman and then villain thing. I think that was enough of a nostalgia trip without actually like doing that.
I mean,
I mean, this was flat out a 70s or an 80s movie filmed in 21st That's what this was. This was a modern day 80s movie.
I see your point. I see your point. Fair.
What was the purpose of Monica Bellucci?
Who?
The wife of the guy that...
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
He just has to. It wouldn't be a Bond movie unless he sleeps with at least 3 different people.
Okay. I was just... She was in the movie for all of 10 minutes. There was no plot.
No,
advancement
she
with
gave
her.
him the information about where the
About
Where the-
Mr. White.
where the
Oh,
meeting was taking place.
And then there's also his Mexican. I'm assuming she's Mexican because they were in Mexico. His Mexican lady at the beginning of the
Okay,
movie.
but that doesn't
Which he
count.
never slept with.
That doesn't count. because
Well,
that we
A-
know of.
That you don't know.
A, like, there was no, like, anything on camera. B, that wasn't, like, an actress, like a big name actress or whatever. This was just like, this is a girl that's with Bond, and now he's going to do Bond things.
But first off, going back to the opening scene, the first 6 minutes of the film, all one camera shot.
Yeah.
Super impressive.
Okay.
I think the Spectre. I don't know if Spectre was ever going to top Skyfall. My dad has been a Bond fan since the Bond films came out. Like
When was like in 68,
62.
62?
62. But like he grew up on the OG Bond films. Thunderball was his all-time favorite. And I walked out of the theater with him after we saw Skyfall, and he goes, "That might have been the best Bond movie ever
Wow, that's
Wow.
my
made."
mom.
And like that's my dad who grew up with Sean Connery Bond walks out and says that Daniel Craig Bond may have been the best one ever. That's why I stand on like I don't think it was ever going to be able to top Skyfall, and I'm not entirely sure that it really tried to. I think it just tried to stick to the same vein as Skyfall,
Yeah.
because it was a Daniel Craig Bond. And the thing is, like with Daniel Craig Bond, you have Quantum of Solace or you have Skyfall.
I think
Much better to stick to the one that was.
I
good.
think Spectre is going to be remembered better. And I think all Daniel Craig Bonds are going to be remembered better because of Skyfall. Skyfall is going to have the same effect on Daniel Craig's Bond as The Dark Knight did on Christopher Nolan's Batman. It will elevate what were decent films, but it's going to elevate them to a much higher standard
And that
than
brings,
they actually
that,
are
that brings to my next point.
because of Skyfall.
That brings to my next point. I think when you look at the individual series as a whole, so each actor being a different series, I guess you could say, I think that Daniel Craig Bond is going to go down as the best one so far.
That will go into playing into like nostalgia and what one is looking for with Bond.
Right.
Daniel Craig isn't a spy; he's an assassin.
Yeah.
Sean
Yeah.
Connery was a spy. And because one of the things that we talked about, I think you and I had a conversation about it. There's like Daniel Craig actually did like detective work to figure out like, hey, I need to do this and this and this to get to here.
He was hunting the target the whole time.
Daniel Craig just kills people.
Well, you said Daniel Craig did at the beginning.
No, I'm Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig doesn't do any of that. He just kills people.
Well, that's because
Well-
he calls his boss. His boss is like with Google search and is like, "Hey, they're in Australia," so he goes to Australia.
I mean, granted, it's like it's different
I
times.
mean, Casino Royale, I think, was more of a spy than an assassin because the whole point was he was supposed to win the poker game to stop the money from being transferred, and then it just went south on him. So then he,
Killed a bunch of people.
yeah,
Casino Royale, the World Series of Poker, James Bond edition.
No.
Because that's all it was.
Daniel Craig is James Bourne. Like, let's be real. It's not James Bond, it's James Bourne.
No, he says his name is Bond at least 20 times in
He
these
says
movies.
his name is Bond. I'm saying
No,
it's James
Tyler,
Bourne.
his
In the
name
sense-
isn't Bond.
in the sense that his like the way he fights, the way he goes through the movies is more Jason Bourne-esque than like Sean Connery Bond. That's what I'm saying.
It's the era. I mean, he's in the
Yeah.
But
post
see, I-
9/11,
yeah.
the age of technology era. Sean
Yeah.
Connery was in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
But one of my favorite
They got it.
nostalgia throwbacks within Spectre was how, in all the old Bond movies, I'm just going to reference Moonraker and Man with a Golden Gun here, there's always the scene where Bond goes to the villain's lair, and they share drinks, they have gentlemanlike conversation, but they both know that only one of them is leaving alive. You know, especially Man with the Golden Gun.
And then
with
they
the whole-
both do.
with the whole murder maze. Yeah, but I just meant but see, for me that was the classic Bond throwback, yet keeping it with the 21st century trend. So like, you know, it was very gentleman-esque, very, you know, you have a private room, you have drinks, we have hand-pressed suits for you, like
I think
all
that
of that. But at the same time,
your
They
comments
do.
about nostalgia, I think really what it was that they weren't just overtly making, like, you know, Goldfinger in a modern setting. What they were doing was trying to capture the essence of the original Bond films, and so it may have felt like they were just trying to push nostalgia on you, but
Yeah.
I think that they were just trying to make an old-fashioned Bond film in a modern setting.
that's what,
Exactly what Matt was saying. You know,
which is
the
why I loved it so
gentlemanly-
much.
The gentlemanly interactions between, you know, Blofeld and James Bond, the secret
henchman.
lair.
The henchmen,
henchmen. It was
the gadgets,
rather than just making nods like they did in Skyfall, they tried to embrace an essence,
Yeah.
and I think that that's where they did something different than Skyfall, and that's why they weren't just trying to make Skyfall 2 and it sucked, because they did try and do something different, and I think it worked really well.
and that's why I think a lot of people didn't like it, and why the Metacritic score is sort of right in the middle, and why, you know, it's averaging in the 7s where Skyfall is averaging in the 8s and the 9s, is because people were expecting Skyfall 2, or people were expecting just over-the-top action set pieces. You know, Daniel Craig is an assassin, but they're like, no, we're going to do a classic Bond film.
It set a world record for the largest explosion.
Did it really?
Yeah, when Blofeld's
With the
compound
layer,
blew
Of
up.
course, yeah.
What out of 10 would you all like?
I can go first because I don't actually have that, like, I already formed an opinion because I didn't have the nostalgia, because the only old Bond movie that I've seen is Goldfinger, which is why I still think it's the best. But I don't have anything to base it off of. I already had a good opinion of the villains going in. I would give it a 7.
Okay.
Because I think that everything was like it was good. There was nothing about it was bad, but nothing about it was like amazing, except Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz is amazing, and if I would have a movie where it was literally Christoph Waltz is the only actor, and it just has him talking about things. Shower thoughts with Christoph Waltz. I would give it a 10 out of 10.
All right, before we hear the rest of our numbers, Matthew, you haven't said a whole lot about your thoughts about the movie, so go ahead.
I mean, I already said my basic thoughts. In terms of rating, I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. While it brought back a lot of what classic James Bond is, it's still the plot in itself was not the strongest. It was a good action movie, but it wasn't as good as a thought-provoking movie.
I mean, 7 probably. It was good. It wasn't great.
All right.
It wasn't amazing.
Yeah, I'd probably give it between a 7.5 and an 8, and then to give you kind of an idea of what scale I'm putting this on, I'm also putting Skyfall somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5. So it's slightly below Skyfall, but I feel like I would put it a little higher than you guys do. I would put it a little closer to Skyfall than it's been generally said here.
Okay,
So that's fair.
fair.
I'll take it a step further. I'm giving it a 9.
Wow. All right.
I loved it so much. And point of reference, I would give Skyfall an 8.7, 8.8. I'd give GoldenEye a 9.95. So it's GoldenEye. GoldenEye is my favorite.
You didn't like the
I thought
Pierce
you just
Brosnan
said
Bond.
Spectre.
I don't like. Okay, I don't like Pierce Bronson as Bond, but I thought GoldenEye was the best.
So average Spectre rating, probably not bad.
Yeah.
Slightly skewed towards that.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say slightly skewed.
I'm the outlier.
Not you, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
Matthew?
Yeah, the Twitter's up.
What?
I got the Twitter up.
What about Twitter?
And you
We
just
have
make
a
the
Twitter page.
Is that what you've been doing?
Oh my god.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so follow us on Twitter at what?
What are we following? How do you follow us on Twitter?
It's at NerdsWA Podcast.
Speaking of Twitter and Twitter silences and people who haven't spoken on Twitter, Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
I think you just need to be in charge of these. Brandon.
I am.
I'll give
It's
you a
good-
rating on the 1 to 10. That was about a solid 4.
That's all. See,
Before you were more about
That's
7.
4. I give it 2.
that was no. I mean,
Can we
I-
get
I-
into negatives?
Because 2 would be.
so Ronda Rousey losing in the-
Loses round 1, gets knocked out 20 seconds in round 2.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, have you ever been punched in the face? It's not that hard to knock somebody out.
No, she was kicked in the face.
He was roundhouse kick
Okay,
right in the
have you ever been kicked in the face? That's actually worse.
No, actually, because
Okay.
I've only ever been punched in the face, Nathan.
Nathan, kick
I have been kicked in the
Nathan,
face.
kick
It
Britt,
sucked.
kick Britt in the face so he understands.
Let's not kick me in the face. Okay, so the whole reason that like we bring this up is because like what impact do you think that this has on something like UFC and also Ronda Rousey's acting career following this? Like, where does Ronda Rousey go from here?
Acting career, no change.
Hulk.
Like, she's.
She-Hulk?
She-Hulk? Really?
No, I mean no, but
No, but
I
she
like
wants to be a part of the Marvel universe.
She does.
Captain Marvel.
No, but I think her acting career is fine. She's still the biggest female, like, martial
Nobody's
arts
waking
sport.
up this morning being like, I suddenly hate Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
like, no, she's still the most popular thing in that genre of sports or whatever. I don't know how you break it down or whatever.
I mean, like, the thing is, she was gonna lose sooner or later because everybody who's anybody in UFC wants to beat her.
Yeah.
So like, every single person currently in the business is coming at her like full force, and so like eventually somebody was gonna get that lucky hit and knock her out.
I mean, because Ali lost, Tyson lost.
But Mayweather has never lost.
Okay, we're not
Well,
talking about
Mayweather-
Mayweather because Mayweather
Has
is
only fought like how many matches has Mayweather actually fought?
49.
49 and he's won
49.
all of them.
Out of how long has he been doing this?
I'm just saying she didn't have to lose. It wasn't inevitable.
Well, I mean,
There was a
saying-
good chance, but it wasn't inevitable. She could have
I'm
been.
calling it all but inevitable.
I mean,
Okay.
because
For UFC especially.
Okay.
and
That's
then
fair.
the question is like, can with a knockout like this, like she was knocked out.
Yeah.
Does that like diminish like any of her like credibility as being the best female fighter in the world?
I would say not at all.
No.
I mean, the thing is,
Mm.
she didn't get choked out. She didn't tap out. She got hit in the head hard enough that her brain smacked the back and she fell over.
Mhm.
That's not anything you can like fight out of. You know, if you're getting choked out, there's like
She had a
solid-
broken nose and she continued fighting until she got knocked out.
Exactly. If you're getting choked out, there's a solid 7 seconds that you have to do something. You know, if you're in a pin and you would need to tap out, you can do something before they like break your arm. You know, if you get knocked out, there's like nanoseconds for you to actually like react, which is not enough time for you to react at all. So like, there's literally nothing that she could have done if she just got hit.
As far as the
She out.
best female fighter, I think that does come into question because Holly Holm did beat her. She is technically the best female fighter out there right now.
She has a
As
title.
far as most popular, which is what is important when it comes
But
to
who
her
has more,
acting
who has more
career.
wins is the question.
Ronda Rousey, but
Ronda Rousey.
she's just had more fights. Holly Holm is still now
Undefeated.
is undefeated.
She's 12 now.
She's 12-0, but
And she has the title. So in technical terms, she is the best female fighter out there. As far as most popular, which is what it matters when it comes to her acting career, Ronda Rousey is still far and away the most popular. And her acting career will be fine. She'll still keep making action movies. She will still continue her attempt to be the female version of The Rock.
And I
Hopefully
can,
succeed because that would be great.
yes.
I can also see,
You know, granted, I'm not the biggest WWE fan, but like if you've got a hero character versus a villain character and the villain wins, the crowd's genuinely pretty upset. I can see the crowd being upset at Holly for actually knocking out Ronda because everybody wanted Ronda to win that one.
Because they wanted to see her just continue to keep
Yeah.
winning. No, and it's good. As far as what it does for
She's a
UFC,
face.
In
The rematch is going to be crazy.
if it ever happens, I don't see why it wouldn't. But I can see Holly Holm like trying to like politic out of like, no, I don't need to prove myself again,
Yeah.
which is classic heel tactics in wrestling.
But as far as like for UFC, it's great for UFC because now you've
That's
got
gonna sell a lot of
wide-
money.
Oh,
You've got a rivalry now between
And
them.
especially with UFC 200 less than a year away.
okay, so Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm is a boxer. And she holds a boxing championship. You know who else held a boxing championship?
That's just
4 out of 10.
And is in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Rocky. And you know what's the next movie in the Rocky universe? Creed.
3 out of 10.
3.
I don't care.
No, you lost.
Macho Man, no!
2 out of 10. You broke his glasses. 1 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
You give it 5 out of 10?
5 out of 10, yeah!
I said 0.5.
Crap!
Again, my question stands. Can we dip into negatives here?
No, no,
Can't dip into the
because I at least
Dip into,
attempted
like,
it. I get
derivatives
partial
and-
credit for attempting.
Okay.
Okay. What do we think about Creed?
I have really no intention of seeing it.
Why?
Just because I've never been a Rocky fan.
Have you ever watched them?
I've seen the first 2.
I've only seen the first Rocky movie, and I was not incredibly impressed, but I'm still intrigued to see this movie. Because I like Michael B. Jordan as an actor, and I think, honestly, at this point in his career, Sylvester Stallone should be taking more of these like supporting roles.
Mhm.
And I think it could be a very interesting movie, and honestly, yeah, I mean, it
Also, after
could be
Michael
really
B. Jordan's
interesting.
last movie, he needs something good.
No. Oh wait, no, that's Anthony Mackie. Never mind. Matthew, I need you to do a quick fact check for me. Check to see if Rocky won Best Picture.
Rocky, 1997 Academy Award for Best Picture.
Wait, 19.
Or 1977. Okay.
Oh, did it win Best Picture?
Wait, what?
It did. Academy Award, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Film Editing.
Well then,
Okay. I mean, great for Rocky. I still wasn't incredibly blown away. You dropped Gandalf.
that's okay. It's been happening.
Party foul.
It's happened before. You dropped Macho Man. At least I didn't break him.
Watch Man's been burned.
It brings back memories of Gandalf.
Like,
So I haven't actually seen any of the Rocky movies, but I feel like if I watched the Rocky movies, I'd be a lot more interested in watching Creed. Because from what I've seen of Creed, like in the trailers and stuff, it looked good and it looks interesting, and I would be excited to see it if I'd actually seen any of the Rocky movies.
I think it's just going to be a good movie regardless.
Mhm.
Regardless of the Rocky lore, you've got, you know enough about Rocky to know Sylvester Stallone is Rocky. And so,
And the kids is Apollo Creed's kid.
well,
Yeah.
see, but honestly, you sort of have to have the Rocky lore enough to know, because the whole thing is like a big part of it is even the shows it in the trailer. One of the guys is like, your dad died. He like sucked so bad he was like killed in the ring, like, and that's
Yeah.
something that Creed, the kid, has to like live up to and own up to, because
but I mean, they do it. I mean, if they do that in the trailer, they'll do it in the movie where they explain enough of it that you could
Oh.
go see Creed and have not seen any other Rocky
Probably.
movie
I'm sure that
and
they
still
will.
enjoy it. Probably
Oh,
not to
But
the
you wouldn't enjoy it
fullest.
as much,
Yeah.
and I'd rather enjoy it as much as I could by watching the other.
don't watch Rocky 5.
Matthew, thoughts?
I nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Wow.
I haven't seen a Rocky film.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's okay.
That's really, really sad.
Okay, so Fallout 4. I don't play video games. So
I'm gonna just sit here and twiddle my thumbs. While
Go for it, Matthew.
So good.
Go
oh
for
my
it.
God. I spent like the first 5 hours trying to create the city because I didn't know you could skip past it.
Yeah.
So I still haven't even gotten to Diamond City yet. And
I actually just got there last night for the first time because I did the same thing that you did.
Wait, you can create a city?
Yeah.
Yes.
you build a survivor.
Yeah. You build a settlement and then like teach them how to fight and defend the city and all that shit.
Do you teach them how to Dougie?
Yes.
You can. See, my whole thing is Fallout 3 is my favorite game of all time. So this had a lot to live up to. And for me, I don't like it better than 3 yet. It's taken me some getting used to. Definitely. I do fully enjoy it. But for me, like 3, you leave the vault, you go directly to Megaton, then you have got like the few things to do around there. Like you can do the survival guide, you can do the little vampire quest out in the subway station, or you can just go on and find your dad. But this one just sort of throws you out there, and it suffers, which was one of the main reasons why I didn't care for Skyrim that much. Is it's just so much to do; it's so overwhelming.
But you can shout a goat off of a mountain.
That is true.
You literally yell a goat off of a mountain. How do you not love that? 10 out of 10, greatest game ever. For shouting at goats.
Once I can spend more time in Fallout,
Man, who shout at goats.
I mean, also the combat's completely different, which is it's throwing me off. It's definitely more cover-based shooter. You know, you die a lot quicker.
Yes.
I'm so used to Fallout where you can just take a boatload of punishment, pause the game, heal, and then go right back into it. Whereas this, you barely take any punishment, you pause, heal, but then you unpause and you're still not healed, and that takes time to heal. I'm just not used to that yet. And I also have the whole power armor thing is confusing. The whole settlement thing, I haven't spent a lot of time getting used to it. Weapons don't decay in this one. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah.
Weapons and armor don't decay, which was I love that about Fallout 3 because it was, do I use my favorite gun and risk, because there's no other gun like it, and risk breaking it and never using it again, or do I just use a crappy generic based one?
Yeah, that's awful. Well, that's like real life too.
Yeah, I mean that's how the game goes. Also, Matt, are you playing it on PC or?
I'm playing on Xbox One.
Okay, I'm on PS4, and for me, it's the visuals and the graphics are a little too stimulating.
Mm.
Like it's too saturated. It's overwhelming. It's exhausting on the eyes, honestly.
Yeah, I'm honestly waiting for people to mod it more.
Yeah.
Especially because the Xbox One has the option for mods now, and it makes me really excited.
So
I'll definitely play it a lot more than I am currently. But what it is, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, it's a blast. It takes some getting used to. It's kind of confusing. I feel like once I get the groove and I've played maybe 10 hours, I might go back and start a new character and just have the early game knowledge that I have to make it, easier, I guess.
Yeah, the whole entire game is very complex.
For somebody who does enjoy video games but hasn't really gotten into Fallout, I didn't enjoy Skyrim all that much.
You never played 3 though. You only played New Vegas. Am I correct in that?
Yes, but at the same time, I never had any true desire to play 3.
You didn't enjoy Skyrim?
It was, I don't know. There was I need a game with there needs to be at least some direction. There was none in
There's
Skyrim.
direction.
No, there's not.
You're supposed to defeat the
It could have been worse. It could have been one direction.
in Alduin, right? That's
Yeah.
the main dragon thing.
Yeah, I don't play games.
That's right.
So
Alduin, main dragon.
I don't-
Beat him. That's the main objective of the game.
Back to my original question. What is, would you recommend it to somebody who, doesn't necessarily do Bethesda games?
Do you like just RPG games in general?
To a certain extent.
Do you like
Yes.
Do you like more linear or open world games?
I like more linear, but I do like open world.
Okay, because with Fallout and with Skyrim to an extent, not as much as Fallout, there is one linear quest, and then all this other stuff just sort of piles around on the side of it, which is really that's what 3 was. People have sped run 3 in 20 minutes, the full game. But I think I'm about 10 hours into 4 and I've maybe touched 2% of it. There's a lot to do. You don't have to do all of it. You can completely just ignore the settlement building. You can completely ignore... Basically, Fallout is you are in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, do whatever you want.
Alright, so the Villain
No,
Dragon,
you want
4 matches. What is the first match we're going to talk about?
Okay, do we...
We have a total of 32 villains, a total of 16 matches.
What do we want to start with?
You can start with Terminator Loki.
You want to start with Terminator Loki?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll end Predator Megatron. because
Alright, I'm going to kick off Terminator Loki with a big question.
Okay.
Do we consider the Terminator individually as the villain from Terminator 1, or do we consider the whole robotic network of Skynet? I almost said Skyfall, I'm an idiot. Of Skynet sending the Terminators out, because they send multiple Terminators, each different.
No. We don't consider Skynet, but we can consider the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator from the Terminator movie.
Okay,
And
so-
we can consider
because I would say-
T-1000 from T2.
Yeah, because T-1000 from T2 was like much more badass than
No.
Schwarzenegger.
What are you talking about? No.
Dude was
Not
a
at all.
shapeshifter.
No. Okay.
That had like
Stabby arms, stab. No,
arms,
that's not
yeah.
it. But
No.
having watched the second movie before the first one, I actually feel like I gained a greater appreciation for Arnold Schwarzenegger as a villain as the Terminator,
Okay.
and so that's why I will disagree with you. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'll go ahead and explain that, because in seeing Schwarzenegger as the good guy in T2, I sat there looking at this movie going, how is he the villain for the first movie? Like, I couldn't understand it. You know, I mean, like, clearly they did a good job, because Sarah Connor flipped her shit whenever he showed up. But then when I went back and watched the first one, I was like, okay, I understand now. And I could see everything that Schwarzenegger did to make the Terminator seem evil. I could see everything that the lighting people did, everything that the director, extra threw in there to make that little shift that just made him seem that much more of a villain
Okay.
rather than
Fair enough.
a good guy. So in seeing how the movie made him into a villain and then made him into a good guy, makes him that much better of a villain in my opinion.
That actually another pro wrestling tie-in. It's like what makes you either a good villain or a bad guy is how well you can do the opposite, and the fact that he's able to do both so well. But I think that I personally think that he was better as the villain. He just
Yeah.
he was so, like the intimidation factor of a metal robot, a metal
An
flesh-covered- indestructible,
cyborg.
yeah, coming at you who does not care.
Also the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Also the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but who does not care about collateral damage. Because I would argue that the Terminator in T2
He's trying to be stealthy.
He was trying to be stealthy, and to me that's not as scary as a guy who's just mercilessly killing everybody. He kills everybody in the police station to get a shotgun.
Which makes sense because he's a robot that is trying to exterminate all of the human race anyway. So he's not going to give a shit about how many people he kills in the past.
Exactly.
He's just going to kill all of the humans. Kill all the humans.
Exactly. And that was the thing that I didn't understand about the T2 guy was because of that they hate humanity. Then why are you trying to
Not just kill all of
Why
them.
not?
Because
Kill
if he
everybody.
killed, I think in the second one, because in the first one, until Kyle Reese showed up and basically told Sarah, no, your unborn son is going to be the savior of humanity. And T2, John Connor already knew who he was, already knew that he was what he was, whether he wanted to believe it or not, he knew what he was destined for. So I think if, the second Terminator came around and just started killing everybody mercilessly, that would have given John time to go to ground, to go underground, and then, his mission would have been a failure. He had to start thinking tactically. Whereas the first one was, I just need to kill this woman. John Connor's not even born yet. If I can stop that. But since John was already born, it became much riskier for the assassin.
Yeah. I would say it makes sense as to why he's stealthier, but I also still agree that it's scarier to have the guy who just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
So I agree with both.
So that's and that is personally why I think that if we're going to talk about Terminator, we need to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I think we need to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator in light of the fact that he's a villain and then the good guy.
Okay, fair.
Because that notes a good hero. And we can also talk about the T-1000 as a villain because he's also the Terminator who's the villain, and we're just going to pretend 3, 4, and 5 didn't exist.
3 was good.
It was better than 4 and 5. 3 was not bad, but it was not as good as 2.
No, and I fully admit that.
And then
Yes.
if we're going to talk about Loki, because Loki also
Because
has
Loki
those.
does. I was about to get to the segue. Because
Okay.
Loki also plays the villain, and then sometimes can turn back and play the good guy.
Mhm.
So, but the difference between Loki and Terminator is programmed, and so he either just kills everyone to kill everyone, or he kills everyone to protect that one guy who he was going to kill in the first one.
Yeah.
Loki is just like selfish and wants his own goals to work, and so sometimes that puts him on the side of the angels, and sometimes that puts him at taking over the Earth.
And that is why I will argue that Loki's a better villain. Because the Terminator, like you said, kind of has one of two modes. He's either this instrument of destruction, or he's kind of like this protector that will like destroy anybody that tries to get in the way of the one guy. Whereas Loki, you don't know what's going to happen because he's looking out for numero uno and trying to get whatever he wants. And so he could be your best friend at one moment, and the immediate instant that the situation flips, that it would be better for him to not be your friend, he will not be your friend.
But see, with Loki, you can, just because of that simple fact, you can get inside his head. You can talk him down. He has a sense of reason. The Terminator does not. The Terminator is going to accomplish his mission, and nothing is going to get in his way. And if it does get in his way, he's going to kill it.
So, as a villain, the Terminator is scarier,
Yes.
I would say, because, I mean, like, he's a robot. He's programmed to do what he's going to do, and he does it, and that's it. That's it.
And
You can't stop
especially,
it.
and especially towards the end of the first movie, when they light him on fire, and that you see him melting and his skin melting away, and then they sort of have that moment of relief. Okay, he's dead. He's gone. And then this just metal robot comes out without the skin, and it's got the glowing red eyes, and they realize literally nothing can stop this thing. That's pure fear. And if the ideal of a villain is to strike fear, Terminator does it better.
But then flip side, because I love both of them so much, like I'm going to argue both. But does the unpredictability of Loki, the fact that he will do everything all but like guarantee you victory, and then right before you're about to get there, he just takes it all away, and
the charisma with which he does it.
exactly
Loki is one of the more charismatic,
charismatic.
excuse me, villains that we've seen in recent years, I would say.
I think.
Like, people love Loki. Even though he's the villain, people love him.
But then the
Also,
flip,
fangirls like him because it's Tom Hiddleston. But
flip side to that though,
Because they like Tom Hiddleston because of the character of Loki. Tom Hiddleston was not popular until Loki. So it kind of is like a symbiotic relationship where they've both grown in popularity.
again, the flip side to that is because he's so loved, does that mean that he isn't accomplishing his job as a villain?
I agree
believe
with
he's
that.
a more successful villain currently.
Well, he's more successful because he's now sitting on the throne of Asgard,
Yeah.
and Terminator.
Yeah!
The Terminator was crushed.
So Loki wins.
But the question,
Is
Loki
what he said.
has done
Loki
his
has
job.
won.
the question
No.
in terms of movies is what makes a better villain? Is it the terrifying, scary aspect of Terminator, or is it the mental, the calculating, the turn on a dime unpredictability, but still selfishly predictable Loki? That's what this question boils down to at its essence. Is less Terminator Loki. More,
Which one would you be more scared to face off against? I think.
But see, that's not quite the question. Because the question is what makes a better villain. And if the question what makes a better villain is who would make you piss your pants sooner if you were staring at Loki or staring at Terminator.
Oh, it's definitely Terminator.
Oh, then yeah,
Exactly,
if
but
we're going by that, then
If
that's
that's the
definitely-
question, so that's why my
But
question is what is the question? What makes a good villain?
And so your question, your answer to that is who would like scare you the most? If you're,
No, I think it's who is more dangerous.
Okay, so that's what you think that this.
And there's different types of danger.
Okay, no. I mean, I'm trying to see like what we think that like what makes them like what is the question?
I mean, Matthew, this is kind of your baby. What do you consider the question to be?
I guess it's a matter of when discussing who's a better villain, it's what did they do as a villain? Did they do what they were supposed to do, and how well did they impact the villains to come?
I was gonna say not how well do they do it, because 9 out of 10 of these villains failed.
I mean, because currently, Like-
better story.
Loki is on the throne of Asgard, so
as of this moment, Loki has won.
technically Loki
Yes.
has won. So, and I would
Sort of,
say that
somehow,
I would say that he's a
apparently.
better villain too, just because he's still the villain. Terminator flipped.
Well, we also don't know this.
Technically, though, that's a different Terminator, though,
Will that is true. That is true.
because it was a different T100 that John Connor reprogrammed.
Okay.
What we this is
So
this-
is he a villain if he's been programmed to be a villain? Because
Yes.
Loki has made the conscious choice that, okay, I am going to screw over everybody in my life to take care of me. Versus Terminator, who is programmed.
But Terminator.
He has made no choice of, I want to kill these people. It's, I've been programmed to kill these
because
people.
he's been programmed by an entity being Skynet
Mhm.
to kill the people on Skynet is AI.
It's AI, but it's self-conscious.
Exactly. It is an intelligence. And the thing is, like, the Terminator is less of just a machine programmed and more of an arm of Skynet.
So how do we create a, like, how do we decide? Do we
Okay.
just like go
do
around
we,
and
do we
vote?
vote? I think we vote.
I think we vote. Matthew, what's your vote?
Or do we want to save
Was
Matthew?
What?
No, I think Matthew.
What?
Are you decided?
Yes, I'm decided.
Okay, what's your vote?
Loki.
Are you decided? Who's decided?
I'm decided. Loki.
Terminator.
Are you decided?
I'm not decided. Are you decided?
Not really, but I think I'm gonna go with Terminator.
Ah, crap! Why do I have to be a tiebreaker?
Oh goodness.
It may just
Nathan.
We'll talk out.
talk. Okay.
Talk it out, and we'll argue for
The problem that I see both points,
Mhm.
and it's like there are aspects about both of them that, to me, make them a good villain because the whole uncompromising nature of a robot, and like there's literally nothing that you can do to plead with it. And the whole thing about Loki is Loki would grant you mercy if you begged for it.
Yeah, and I think also, especially with sort of how Avengers ended with Loki, getting crap beat out of him by Hulk, but also sort of accepting defeat and realizing that even though he's a god, there's a point where he just needs to stop resisting for the moment, which is the end of Avengers. And I think Loki, like you said, he'll grant you mercy if you beg for it. He has a little bit of a soul there, and especially how he can go from being, even though he's self-interested, how he can go from being the villain to the hero in some instances. The Terminator and the one that we're talking about, the original T-100 from Terminator 1, you can't compromise with it. You can't plead with it. It has no soul. It has no mercy. It is going to kill you.
And I think
And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself. It was honestly by pure luck that Sarah was able to kill it, especially after Kyle died.
I think that also, the fact that Terminator killed Kyle, the fact that your villain actually killed, who has, now granted, you could make the argument Sarah's the main character, but I'd say Sarah and Kyle are both the main character.
Yeah.
After your villain has killed, straight up murdered on screen, one of the main characters, that makes it a lot more scary, and that's something Loki hasn't done.
He hasn't killed anybody on screen.
Anybody you mean. I mean, he's killed the people in New York, but
And he pulled somebody's eye out.
True.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
You
No,
don't
he
see
did,
it.
that was Hawkeye.
but you
No, Loki did, you're
No,
right.
Loki did the
Loki,
stabbing.
Hawkeye was
You-
the one who got the thing out, you're right.
you can negotiate with Loki. You can talk Loki down. You can't talk Terminator down.
Because he's programmed!
It comes to predictability. And the thing is, Loki is predictable because he's selfish. And I know lots of people who are very selfish. And the thing is, not really in this room, but I know people who are just completely selfish. And the thing is, they're the people that I actually don't hate that much because I know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to do what serves them best. And that means that I'm not surprised by a lot of the decisions they make,
Mhm.
and to an extent I can work around their selfishness. There's a manipulability that can go on there. Terminator is just as predictable, but the thing is, there's nothing you can do about it. He's just going to kill you.
Mhm.
That's all. You can't work around it. You can't try to, he's not a selfish predictability sort of robot. He's programmed to kill, so he's going to kill, and that's the end of it.
All right, Brent.
Okay, so
Final decision.
I have now made my decision. I'm going to go with Terminator
Yeah.
because of the fact that at the end of Thor 2, he had the ability. He was alone in the throne room with Thor. He could have very well killed him and probably in the future saved himself from actually dying. Because Loki he's helped Thor, even though it's been in his own self-interest, because you can talk him down, I think that as like a straight up villain, he doesn't stack up as well with Terminator. Now, as a character, Loki is a much better character
Oh, hands
than
down, no question.
the Terminator, and so that's not what.
But Terminator was never
Right.
designed to have any sort of character development.
That's
Terminator
why
is
they
just
cast
designed to
Arnold
be.
That's exactly. Although they wanted to cast O.J. Simpson, but nobody would have believed him as a killer.
Okay, moving on to the next round.
So Terminator advances.
Terminator does advance.
I do have a question though.
Yeah.
Did Loki kill Odin?
That
Because we don't know.
Because we don't know. If he had killed Odin, then that might have pushed it over. But because we don't know,
All right.
So this may need to be reevaluated.
well,
But
we may need to reevaluate.
because that cannot be known yet.
All right,
We
next,
can't-
Scar and the Wicked Witch.
Is that even a good debate?
Can we just all say who we're signing for?
Yeah, and if it's a unanimous decision, we just move on.
Yeah.
Or if it's an overwhelming decision.
Scar. I say Scar.
Everybody's going to say Scar, but I feel like somebody needs to play help there.
Okay, I can. Crap. All
And
right.
Brent, you probably actually have the most to say about why Scar is should win, so I think you should play that side.
Why do I have the most to say about?
Because the Lion King's your favorite.
Because Lion King is my favorite, and
And
Scar.
because Scar obviously wins. So.
Because Scar does obviously win.
But we want to have some
Okay,
sort
so
of
the whole thing
conversation.
about it is, they both honestly have like the same sort of motivations. The Wicked Witch is honestly hers, like the fact that she's willing to go to all this length for a pair of shoes. Like
She's just a shopaholic.
She tried very hard to kill people.
she did.
She did.
But
kill
Scar,
people.
but
She
Scar
did kill
did
people.
kill people.
No, she killed people too.
She killed Scarecrow. I mean, like, granted, they put Scarecrow back together. But
Yeah,
like,
they killed.
In essence, they killed Scar.
She killed Scarecrow.
she killed Scarecrow, and Scarecrow.
And she's killed people before because like.
But people hated her already.
Because you don't just hate somebody like that if she hasn't done something just awful. She enslaved an entire race of monkeys. Scar didn't do that.
He enslaved the entire race of hyenas.
No, he didn't
No,
enslave
he
them.
didn't.
either.
He manipulated them.
He
to be
manipulated
little Hitler hyenas. Well, Nazi hyenas, but they're marching.
That is true. But isn't that creepier though? The fact
It
that
is
like
creepier.
there's the flying monkeys. Like I mean that's debating like how but
Scariest henchman.
Scariest henchman, but the fact that she's willing to go through all this length for a pair of shoes, and like the whole mocking of Dorothy and Auntie M or whatever, like
I mean, she is a witch. She was designed to kind of be evil incarnate.
yeah, and like that hurt me, like as a kid, like the oh Auntie M, why you're right there, oh why, that was just awful. And like the whole imprisoning Dorothy thing, like she probably should have just killed her. But
But it was the 30s. So
I mean, it was the 30s.
But she imprisoned the why? But here, maybe there's something in her psyche. Why would she imprison Dorothy when she could have killed her?
because
Because watching a prisoner
because
dance.
yeah, it's like that is the thing that like honestly like made her the happiest was watching somebody suffer. Scar ultimately like was trying to do something right because he thought that he could be a better king than Mufasa was, and their father, because their father was king. Scar thought that he could be better and actually do something better. Granted, he was completely misguided, but he still thought that he was doing the right thing. The Wicked Witch, at no point did she think she was doing the right thing.
Ooh.
She was being bad for the sake of being bad. She wanted something, and she was going to just watch. I mean, she essentially played the entire Dorothy and company into her hands.
Mhm.
Because if she is as powerful as like she obviously is, like she can just create fire and like burn the Scarecrow. Like
She also kidnapped a dog.
No, not the dog.
not the dog. See,
But for real though,
And on that, I
Stop.
changed my vote.
so I mean, and with like. She is bad for the sake of being bad. Scar is bad because he thinks that he could do a better job. He is inherently selfish. Does that make him evil?
Kind of goes back to
Same thing with Loki.
Yeah.
That kind of goes back to the same thing. But
except for the fact that the Wicked Witch is still a person making a choice. And
Yeah.
the thing is, she can still be reasoned with. And she can be killed with a bucket of water.
But that doesn't have anything to do with
Scar
evil
was killed
she-
because he was eaten.
By the hyenas. Well, he also fell off a cliff.
No. But that didn't kill him.
Okay.
He was still alive.
Yeah.
He was like, my friends. Friends? I thought you said we was the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
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 Mhm.
Alright, so
Matt,
Going around.
you've been very quiet.
Scar.
Still, did you
Still
pay
Scar.
attention to any of my
Yes, I
arguments
did.
at all?
Yes, I did, and still Scar.
okay.
Okay, no. I after hearing that, because I changed your opinion.
You changed my opinion. I'm going with the Wicked Witch. Also because
I
don't think
changed your
Scar
opinion?
deserves-
Yeah.
Ha! Okay.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
So then that's 3-2. We can
No. I was playing devil's advocate. Literally the entire time I was playing devil's advocate. Now, after hearing you, are you still Scar?
I'm Scar, but I'm also willing to debate back for
Oh.
why Scar is better.
Okay, no.
Please do.
Because I want to hear that because like I honestly, even after all of that, I think that Scar is better, is a better villain.
So
but-
let Nathan speak.
Yeah.
Please.
And I still think Scar is a better villain. And again, it goes back to that very brief comment I made about the Hitler hyenas, the Nazi youth hyenas. Because if you think about it, the Wicked Witch is evil to be evil, and like everything about her is evil and bad and whatnot. But Scar was made. I mean, granted, like Lion King is Hamlet, but Scar was based off of Hitler.
Mhm.
And when you base a villain off of one of history's most evil people, and you, like, he takes over a kingdom, he kills his brother in cold blood in front of his son, and then blames it on the son,
Yeah.
and chases the son away to the middle of the desert. That's a little heartless. He tells a child that the child was the cause of his father's very violent death and causes him to run away, seemingly to the child's death, just so that he can take over a kingdom. And then, what was the thing we said the other? Scar was so evil that he killed the grass.
He did. Scar killed the grass, and he caused climate change.
Scar was so evil when he took over that he caused the climate to change. But that's not actually my argument, but for real.
No. I think that's
It's kind
actually
of a big deal.
that's kind of actually like he threw off the balance of nature.
It's just a coincidence.
No, it's not.
It
No,
was the
All right,
rainy
all right,
season.
all right.
But as soon as
So-
he died, the rain came back.
Going to be that guy for the sake of time.
no. Why are you being that guy? Rude. Why you gotta be so rude?
So
Please don't.
Scar, I still say is
Yeah.
the better villain.
I still say Scar.
He has one of my favorite songs in all of Disney
He's
movies,
a singing villain that automatically wins.
and he's voiced by Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
So
While I think that there could be a case for the Wicked Witch, having made that case,
Matthew, is your vote still the Wicked Witch?
No, of course not.
yeah. See, no, that just I'm a puppeteer. I can like dance.
this doesn't work on me because I live with you and we do this all the time.
No,
but
this is exactly what we do. But like
All right,
dance,
Scar,
dance
Scar
puppets,
wins.
okay, so
Scar wins.
unanimous.
But you did very well in convincing me that the Wicked Witch deserved to be in the conversation.
Okay.
Davy
right.
Jones Maleficent.
Davy Jones, Maleficent. Ooh.
I know. I never saw the Maleficent movie. I didn't. And it's been a long time since I saw Sleeping Beauty.
Don't watch the Maleficent movie.
Yeah. That's the Maleficent movie is why I'm going Davy Jones, in all honesty.
Yeah, Davy Jones.
I haven't seen Sleeping Beauty in a long time.
All right,
But from what I've heard and what I remember, a big reason people got pissed about the Maleficent movie is that Maleficent was one of the most evil villains,
And they made her
and
an
they made her
anti-hero.
a sympathetic anti-hero.
Okay, so does that mean I'm not having to play devil's advocate again?
For Maleficent?
Is anybody going to argue for Maleficent?
No, I just say we move
I
on.
mean-
Give it Davy Jones. Move on.
You just
We're not doing that, Matt! Yes, Tyler?
Don't have
I would
argument
say,
when
I
there's no
mean,
argument to
she's
be had.
designed like she's got horns, she's got cape, she's got wings, she turns into a freaking dragon and grows like briars and stuff. Like, that is one of the most epic fights in a Disney movie.
Yeah.
If we're being for
Yeah.
real. Like, she's breathing fire at Prince Philip, she's actually trying to kill him. There is, like, he could very well die.
And to your point, like Matt, about just like saying no argument. There wasn't any argument for Scar and the Wicked Witch, and I made one.
Enough to convince
Enough to convince
two
two people.
to change their vote.
But
And again,
I think
you go
they-
back to the Scar argument where she put the fate of a child in the balance for the kingdom.
My argument for Davy Jones is he acts like he's willing. Davy Jones, to me,
Is a good archetype for just Satan in general. He acts like he can make a deal with you for your benefit, like especially, even though we don't talk about it, the second movie, and to an extent the third one as well, when he's like, we'll play this game, you can gamble, or I either do this or you do 100 years in my service, and the whole thing is, but in the end, it's never a deal. It's what he wants, and he's just as evil as Loki. Going back to that argument, is self-interested, but again, you can talk him down. Davy Jones will act like he's on your side, will act like he's sympathetic, but in the end, he's a heartless dick.
He's actually heartless. He cut his heart out.
Literally.
My thing is, the whole thing about Davy Jones is the whole reason that he is what he is because he's a petulant child that was stood up one time.
Yeah.
That's a bit extreme for like.
I feel like his
it?
character,
Yeah, it is actually. That's no.
like Davy Jones, yeah, he's creepy because they gave him a little octopusy beard, and like.
I would love that actually.
Yeah,
That would be
no,
awesome.
No, I didn't say it was
Can we say that?
ineffective. Listen, I didn't say it was ineffective. He looks like super creepy and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I don't know. I feel like
He also plays the organ, which is just badass.
He also had a claw.
But
Oh, yeah?
Maleficent turns into a freaking black dragon that breathes green fire.
I get no.
That, like, and I mean, it's hard for me to argue because I haven't seen Sleeping Beauty in forever.
I feel like it's gonna be a good problem here.
But-
I'm actually really inclined to say Maleficent.
That will be.
But I mean, from what I remember, that freaked me out. I was genuinely scared for Prince Philip when I was a child. I was like, is this...
Prince Philip is the guy in Little Mermaid.
No, it's Prince Eric. Nice try,
That is
though.
Prince Eric.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You just go back and listen.
out of the video.
Yeah, I mean, just the whole, like, spinning wheel and, like, the menace that she has throughout the entire movie. And, I mean, Davy Jones is, like, someone you can encounter, and you're like, okay, I'm trying to reason with them, and, like, I might be able to beat this guy. Maleficent towers over everybody. She strikes fear into everyone's heart. The moment she steps into a room, everybody's hushed, and just all eyes are on her. Davy Jones, in spite of the fact that he's pirating a ship full of undead, still does not strike the same amount of fear into people's hearts that Maleficent did.
Okay, we need to talk about their motivations for doing their big, horrible, evil acts. Davy Jones was stood up on a date,
Yeah.
and then he was really sad and he cut out his heart, and then became a tentacle monster. Maleficent wasn't invited to a christening.
I think there was more to that.
No. Her motivations for doing what she did, she wasn't invited to a christening.
Okay, so both of them have very terrible origin stories.
No,
so we can
not
kind of
not origin stories, but like they
reasons.
take things. They are very
Justification.
They're very melodramatic people. Like, come on, man. Like, maybe she was doing something else. Like, come on. And
That's what she said.
And maybe your invitation got lost in the mail. Come on, Maleficent.
I say the weakest part about Davy Jones isn't actually that. I'd say the weakest part about Davy Jones is that while in the second movie, he's this big, terrible villain, and he takes people's souls, and he does this whole thing. By the third movie, he's a puppet. He's a tool being used by the British government. No, but he's a villain who's now just a puppet. He's just being used by the East India Trading Company to go out and attack pirates because they don't like them.
And that honestly I think shows the weakness of Davy Jones because
As a character.
as not as a character.
I would say as a character because they couldn't stretch him beyond a movie. They had to be turned into a puppet.
Okay,
that was what they could do with the rest of his character. Just like make him used by a bigger villain.
And
It exhausted all of his innate evilness.
But then that also makes him more selfish because the whole reason that he did that was because he had the heart and he didn't want to die.
Yeah.
He was sad enough to cut out his own heart, but he wasn't sad enough to die. So like.
But you look at Maleficent, and the reason she wasn't invited to the christening is because she was not wanted at the christening. Which means, while they did not address it, there is a whole backstory of evil that they should have addressed. Maybe addressed Maleficent. I didn't see it.
They did. It wasn't good.
Vote on Maleficent. I vote Maleficent.
I thought Maleficent.
Really? Yeah,
Matthew.
Matthew.
David Jones.
Wow.
Even after everything I said.
After all that, I'm going.
I can still see it. I would say
I can see it, but I'm still going. I'm going Maleficent.
Yes.
I'll take.
I can
claim
see
personal
the
victory on
Davy
that
Jones
one.
argument. I can see it. I just think that his character and his person are just too weak
And also,
in the
just to
third
me-
movie, and you can't just rule the third movie out.
The final fight.
The
Fun one.
the one that I'm probably the most excited about in this entire bracket is Megatron and Predator.
I almost feel like we could do who would actually win in a fist fight for this one.
Okay, does anybody have any this is who would win at the beginning?
Predator.
Predator.
Are we taking Megatron from just Michael Bay's movies, or are we also kind of going back into the Transformers?
We could. I think that. I think that we honestly should. We should at least reference them.
We should reference when it's based on, but that's
So the
because
thing
it's
is-
where it's based.
Then shouldn't we do the same thing for other stuff?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
okay.
what other?
I've
Okay, I'll
only
tell you
ever
what,
seen
the
the
only-
Michael Bay movies.
The only thing we'll reference is the old 1980s actual movie. It's a Transformers movie.
Yeah, the Transformers movie.
But it's
Yes.
As long as it's still a movie.
It's actually-
Yeah, no. It's actually still a movie.
It's based on the show, but it is a movie. I
Orson
think it
Welles
came out in theaters.
was.
I'm gonna let you're fine.
Orson
I'm
Welles
not
played
arguing with
Unicron,
you.
so
So that's
Citizen Kane is
But
the
anyway.
Citizen Kane of animated.
So does that make? Yeah, I was gonna say, does that make Transformers the Citizen Kane
I
of
feel
animated
like-
movies?
No.
I feel like I'm inclined to say Predator just because the Predator movie is better than the Transformers. The Predator's movies are better than the Transformers movies, but that's because the Transformers movies are Michael Bay. Michael Bay being Michael Bay, so
And Shia LaBeouf.
See, I'm-
Shia LaBeouf.
No, I will argue Megatron.
okay.
I have no opinion, to be honest, because I've never seen either of these.
Okay, well that's
Then-
you're our control based on.
You can say based on our arguments. Okay, who wants to argue for Predator?
So Predator, just in terms of what he can do, I think is scarier because Megatron.
Can turn into a gun. Can Predator turn into a gun?
Wait.
No.
Hold up.
But does Predator need a gun?
If Megatron,
Yes, he does because he has one.
If Megatron turns into a gun, who pulls the trigger?
He does.
He
He's
can-
also a sentient robot.
He's a sentient robot. He pulls his
He pulls his own
own.
trigger.
He can pull his own trigger. He doesn't need a trigger man.
For
There's a
me,
joke there, but-
for me, I say Predator just because not only Predator's skill sets as an assassin, but as with his just the whole turning invisible, being sneaky, and just the sheer fear factor and power that he has, and also like with Predator, he starts killing people before they even realize what's going on. With Megatron, you're like, oh yeah, that's Megatron. Like, he's big. You
Giant
can
fucking
see him.
robot?
Yeah, it's still
Like, he still
terrifying.
steps on you, and you can't do anything about it. You can't, like,
Okay,
shoot
but
it.
Listen, okay.
To refresh my memory, Predator is that like dreadlock
Yeah.
looking,
Yes.
like heat-seeking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the question is, regular humans fighting Megatron and then fighting Predator.
I would rather fight Megatron.
No. Who wins in the fight in Predator 1 and Predator 2?
Danny Glover won, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger won.
Who won in the human fight, in any of the human fights against Megatron?
Technically, Shia LaBeouf.
That's
Oh,
okay.
shit.
After
Megatron is running in the woods from Shia LaBeouf.
No, because
he shoved a cube in his chest.
He did shove-
After Optimus Prime beat the shit out of him, and he beat the shit out of Optimus Prime. To be fair, in the first one, in the next two, it was all robots.
Okay, so regular humans can be Predator. Regular humans by themselves, without cosmic
Without
cubes
alien
and
technology.
giant alien robots punching the guy, they can't beat him.
But it's
I think
also
that
the whole
automatically
story
puts-
revolves around the stuff to defeat Megatron.
What?
In Transformers, it's robots versus robots. Humans aren't really a part of it, though.
In
In
the-
all honesty,
In the Michael Bay one, it was.
Mm.
I would argue that it was.
I do see Matt's argument because I did see the first Transformers. I don't remember a whole lot of it, so that's why I'm basically saying I didn't see it. But it is robots versus robots. Humans are just kind of the like, oh, you're there.
No, the whole thing it was. I honestly see the first Transformers movie, not the Michael Bay one, as the humans versus the Decepticons, with the Autobots helping them.
Yes,
A lot.
A lot,
A
but
lot.
it was
but like if you look, the military.
the military
in the desert-
was able to completely take out a Transformer on their own. And so, I mean, that while it's not Megatron,
Which one?
the tank guy, they were able to take him out. But because of that, regular humans were also able, to take them down. So like that, I guess, in a way that negates my arguments.
No. But even in the second one, the whoever it was, the weird Decepticon with the giant things that was destroying the pyramid, the humans
Yeah.
killed him. They built a gun. They killed him. It was human technology.
Yeah.
The one with the giant robo testicles?
Yes. But the thing about it is the Predator isn't necessarily a villain. The Predator is a hunter. He just he is honestly.
He brings humans to his planet to hunt them.
He comes to Earth.
Yeah, but Predators with Adrian Brody.
But then he also teams up with humans in Alien vs. Predator, and there's a show of mutual respect there.
Yeah, but he killed a bunch of humans first before he took them.
No, he
Not
didn't. The
that one.
aliens killed the humans.
I thought he killed a couple of humans.
No,
Okay.
he didn't. They're hunting the aliens.
They
So-
were there to hunt the aliens, and then the humans accidentally took their guns, and then
And-
they were like, "Well, shit."
And then there's a sign of mutual respect there. There would be no sign of mutual respect with Megatron. He used Patrick Dempsey in the third one as a puppet in order to simply accomplish his goals.
He's in the third Transformer.
Yes, he is.
also, what are Megatron's goals?
Megatron, he doesn't have any.
No, he does.
Yeah,
Take over.
exactly.
Take over.
No.
Megatron wants to take over the world. He wants to rule all of the.
He
is a Decepticon leader. He wants to rule all of the robots.
He wants.
Period. He doesn't care about humans at all. He is on Earth because his planet pretty much got destroyed in the war, and so he ended up on Earth and was like, "Hey, we're gonna take over this planet, and I'm gonna rule it instead since our planet's gone to shit."
And you can make the same argument for Predator, even though he helped the humans in Alien vs. Predator. He did because, as you said, the humans had their guns. Had the humans not been there, he wouldn't have cared. Had he encountered the humans in any other situation, i.e., Predator 1,
He needed the humans to survive in the Alien vs. Predator. That's a little bit dependency. That's actually kind of
That I think is a knock on.
that is a knock on Predator.
I mean, if for
Predator
being-
needed a human help to survive an alien attack.
For being the
In fact,
greatest.
2 of the Predators died There was 3. 2 of them just died. The third one was saved by a human.
To be like the greatest hunters in the universe, and like
Well, Alien vs Predator was also just a poorly written movie. I think.
Alien vs. The first one was not bad.
The first one, no, I think the first
For
one
what
was
it
was but even still, but like we're going by what happened in film.
Yes.
Okay. But do we count AVP canon? To just
Yeah, because
Yes,
it's
it is.
because it's canon in in like the AVP universe. It's canon.
Yes.
Okay, I did not know.
All of it is canon, even AVP 2.
Because Alien, AVP, and AVP 2 take place even before Alien.
Yeah,
So-
no, but that like humanity had forgotten about aliens at that point.
And the thing with AVP 1 is the aliens. Now, granted, like Predator is the greatest hunter in the universe because it hunts Alien, which is the greatest prey in the universe. Like, Alien is the high point in the Predator's hunting career because they're the hardest things to kill.
True, but then also that one guy who like is like he kills the little like face sucker thing, and he completely lets his guard down to be like face sucked by another one. Like
Oh, the Predator.
yeah, so like come
They're not all
on,
smart.
come on, man.
The ones that survive that are the big deal.
Wait, they weren't sent there on like a training mission to kill the aliens, were they? They were actually like
No, that was like
they sent the best of the best.
no, that was them. You in order to like become, if I remember the Predator lore correctly. In order to like become a full member of the Predator Society, you have to have killed an alien, it's like once you do that, you become the elite of the Predator.
So these predators were not the best of the best.
Yes.
They
were proving that they were going
proving
to
that
be.
they were.
So saying that they were dependent on humans, they weren't at the same level as the Predator from Predator 1.
Who was killed by a tree.
A big tree.
A big yes,
A large log.
granted a big tree. He was still killed by a tree.
Matthew, any thoughts?
Remember about the
I still really don't get Megatron as a villain.
Okay.
My thing with Megatron as a villain is like the Predator. I love both of them as villains, and in fact, when it comes down to it, the Predator movies are better than the Transformers movies.
Most
As
definitely.
far as characters
so
and
much.
villains, Megatron I think is a better villain because of he's in charge of a group of Decepticons. He has a very specific set plot. He wants to take over the Earth and rule over a large Decepticon army. That's what he wants to do. That's his goal. Predator wants to hunt.
But see, I could even make the argument.
Which one is a better villain? My question is, which one is a better villain?
And Megatron didn't let death stop him.
Right. But I would make the argument.
It's not
It's not a touchscreen. I can make the argument
Those are trying.
that there's some movies where the mystique of the villain is what makes it scary. In Terminator, it was a crutch because there's no character development, but you know Terminator's goals. His goal is to kill everybody. In movies such as Loki or in Megatron, there's a lot of character development, and you know their intentions going into it. For Predator, there's not any character development really, especially in the first one. But that's what makes it scary because you don't know that he's there to just hunt.
Plus it is a clicking, dreadlocked giant,
Invisible.
like,
He's not
invisible.
giant. He's like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's slightly
He's like
He's slightly bigger than
Okay,
Arnold.
large.
Okay, no,
large,
and-
intimidating presence,
Yes, definitely.
inspiring fear. Like if Predator
Let
popped
Brent
in
talk.
the room-
He's
I
not
remember
like
something about Predator 2. So Danny Glover in Predator 2, he kills the Predator.
Yes.
A bunch more Predators come back. Instead of killing him, they're like, whatever.
They're like,
Fine.
no. They're like, respect, bro. Respect. They're not fine. They're like, we like you now. We have respect. Here, take a...
Take a trophy.
Yes, trophy.
And so that because of that, there's like I honestly see them I don't see them as villains, as Predator as a villain, I see them as antagonists. Megatron is a villain. Megatron you can't do that sort of thing with. Megatron won't show you any sort of respect. Megatron will just either kill you or enslave you.
Because he wants to take over.
Because
has
he wants
his
to take
mission.
over.
And
What's his
now the vote.
I mean, we're Megatron, they're Predator. I'm assuming.
Right?
Matthew.
Matthew.
Predator.
Yeah.
Okay, so Megatron, Predator, Megatron, Predator.
Predator, you're gonna say Megatron.
I am going to say Megatron.
Okay.
Let me tell you why, though. Because from their arguments, from your arguments, Megatron sounds like a much more like calculating villain, and Predator sounds more of just like this instinctual, almost like animal that's like just driven by the desire to hunt. And it's not really like I'm a bad guy doing bad things.
But he's
It's
not.
just
He's
like,
not an
this is
animal
just
driven by
like-
the desire. He good. If you're familiar with the story of The Most Dangerous Game,
Yeah.
that's what Predator's doing. He's hunting the most dangerous game. He's not just driven by an instinct to hunt. He knows he's a good hunter, so he's testing himself, and he doesn't matter. He's trying to find the most difficult opponent to kill, and the one that's going to put up the most fight, that's going to challenge him the most. That's why he brings in Predators. He brings a bunch of humans to his planet, gives them these insane guns, lets them set up all these traps, and basically lets them prepare. I mean, and it's not just humans he brings. He brings like the most dangerous military and convicts and.
I don't know. Megatron sounds like much more
I think
intimidating.
for
and
that,
menacing.
because of that, there's a respect level with the Predators that you don't have with Megatron. Megatron
I think
doesn't give a shit.
I think, and that's perfectly encapsulated in the one scene, which I found hilarious when I was a kid. Now, it's funny to place such relevance in my art. Off the tops of buildings. And Optimus Prime is basically trying not to land on people, and Megatron just falls. And he's laying there. He kind of looks up, and there's people running away and screaming, and he goes disgusting and flicks a human. That's how.
Which movie was this?
This was the Michael Bay, the first Michael Bay.
This is the
movie.
first Michael Bay one. He goes disgusting, flicks a human.
Treats a human like he would a bug.
basically.
And then Predator. There's
Not even a bug. We don't care about bugs. Like a disgusting bug. Like something.
True.
Like a piece of slime on the bottom of your shoe.
True, yeah. And so, and the thing is, I think that I love the Predator movies.
Yes.
Predator might be one of my favorite action movies.
Yes.
And so, and I don't want this to seem like, oh, I'm just like
Ripping on Predator.
ripping on Predator, because I think that, again, there's a reason the Predator's on this list.
Yeah.
As an antagonist, he's amazing. But I think, like,
As a villain.
as a villain,
Megatron.
Megatron is
Okay, fair enough.
is better.
I only have to say one thing.
What is that?
Megatron's really only the main villain in the first movie, though.
That's. I mean,
Matt, screen 5.